Yesterday I started reading this New Testament introduction. I wasn't able to finish it, so I'm going to go ahead and try to finish it real quick. It says, a striking feature in all this writing is that it was done in the street language of the day, the idiom of the playground and marketplace. In the Greek-speaking world of that day, there were two levels of language, formal and informal. Formal language was used to write philosophy and history, government decrees, and epic poetry. If someone were to sit down and consciously write for posterity, it would of course be written in this formal language, with its learned vocabulary and precise diction. But if the writing was routine, shopping lists, family letters, bills, and receipts, it was written in the common informal idiom of everyday speech, street language. And this is the language used throughout the New Testament. Some people are taken aback by this, supposing that language dealing with a holy God and holy things should be elevated, stately, and ceremonial. But one good look at Jesus, his preference for down-to-earth stories and easy association with common people, gets rid of that supposition. For Jesus is the descent of God to our lives, just as they are, not the ascent of our lives to God, hoping he might approve when he sees how hard we try. And that is why the followers of Jesus and their witness and preaching, translating, and teaching have always done their best to get the message, the good news, into the language of whatever streets they happen to be living on. In order to understand the message right, the language must be right, not a refined language that appeals to our aspirations after the best, but a rough and earthly language that reveals God's presence in action, where we least expect it, catching us when we are up to our elbows in the solid ordinariness of our lives, and God is the furthest thing from our minds. This version of the New Testament is a contemporary idiom, keeps the language of the message current and fresh and understandable in the same language in which we do our shopping, talk with our friends, worry about world affairs, and teach our children their table manners. The goal is not to render a word-for-word conversion of Greek into English, but rather to convert the tone, the rhythm, the events, the ideas into the way we actually think and speak. In the midst of doing this work, I realized that this is exactly what I have been doing in all my vocational life. For 35 years as a pastor, I stood at the border between two languages, Biblical Greek and everyday English, acting as a translator, providing the right phrases, getting the right words so that the men and women to whom I was pastor could find their way around and get along in this world where God has spoken so decisively and clearly in Jesus. I did it from the pulpit and in the kitchen, in hospitals and restaurants and parking lots and at picnics, always looking for an English way to make the biblical text relevant to the conditions of